We're live, and you're gonna be able to see how many people are on here. I'm guessing. Hello.
So let me just.
We got anyone waiting, or
I should be able to. I can't remember. There's one person. So yes, just if anyone's watching this in playback, welcome. Me and Emily have been running the Tudor along for what feels like a very long time now. So novels. We are on book 3, Jane Seymour, The Haunted Queen, and we are going to talk about it today. So yes, hopefully there are some people watching, and if not, we will just talk about it, and you can all just watch us talk about it later, and we'll reply to comments later. So overall, sort of like gut feel on the book, Emily. What did you think of this one?
Loved it. I thought it was actually the best out of the 3 so far.
I would agree.
Definitely.
Agree.
Definitely the best out of the 3, and it's really good. And yeah, I definitely think it's probably the most interesting. Hi, Alice. We knew it'd be our Alice joining us.
Indeed.
If anyone else is out there, say hi.
Oh, we've got Lynn.
Hi there,
So yeah, this was my favourite of the 3 as well, and I don't know whether it's because I knew less about Jane Seymour or that I just generally preferred the book. I felt, and I know that you've said this as well, it felt more fictitious and like she took more creative license with this one than perhaps the previous 2, and I think that worked really well. I also felt like book 1 and book 2 overlapped so much, it felt almost like you were reading the same book sometimes. I know it's from different perspectives, but just it was the same events from a slightly different perspective. So I
don't think we actually went to the royal court till like about halfway through, did we?
Well, with Anne?
Yeah, no, with Jane Seymour, we didn't
with
go.
Jane, yeah. So it's sort of like the events were already sort of coming to a close, I felt, in this one before Jane entered the court. So everything was sort of newer information, which worked really well, I think, for me.
Definitely. So we've got sort of some of the history, obviously. Yeah, I think I like the family dynamic stuff at the start as well. I found that was very fascinating, because if you think about the fact I know this is something we're obviously going to be discussing at the start, is that her brothers will be a part in latter books. Her brothers do appear in latter books. That's a sneaky preview. Is that they're in every...
They were quite a well-known family in that time, weren't they? Quite a
very, very prominent, and they were still in favour of.
It's a good job you're here, Ems, because my brain's not working fully today.
Jane's family. Obviously, you put the banner on. Well done. I like the way you do that. Oh, aren't you good? I couldn't do any of that, so God knows we'll have to set you up. My channel, so I won't be able to be as fancy as Jem.
It's not that fancy. It's very, very basic. But yeah, her brothers were definitely interesting, and her father as well. Hello.
Hi, Jem. I found you after a long time. Oh, hello, co-host. Oh yeah, I think like obviously I know for a fact that Edward and Thomas are in all the latter books, or certainly there's at least. Yeah, I think they are in the latter book. Certainly the last book, because obviously sneaky peek is that the last book the brothers are very much, because they stayed in court, because obviously Jane, the way it ended with Jane, she didn't do anything to disfavour Henry. So if you thought they were obviously they were connected to Prince Edward. So that was how they stayed in court throughout probably the longest family actually in the whole court. So that was
in a way she was the lucky one, really, because she didn't have a chance to piss him off.
Who knows what would have happened if she would have survived? It would have been very intriguing.
It would have been intriguing. But if we go back to like the beginning of the book and her family, I really liked like the setup, this like wholesome family with the mum and dad who loved each other, and I completely bought into all of it. I was like, yes, they are like the perfect family dynamic. And obviously, as we go through the book, we realise perhaps not quite the perfect.
Yeah. Edward certainly has a very prominent part because obviously being the eldest of the family, he was obviously the next going to be the predecessor, going to have the court and have it all. So obviously what happened at the start, do we give spoilers and say obviously what happened at the start? Like,
yeah, I think there will be spoilers in this for the book because we can't discuss it.
Obviously their father did a big time boo-boo and had an affair with Edward's wife, although I genuinely don't know whether it's how to make of Edward's relationship with his wife, you know what I mean, because that was quite early on in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel like he was happily married, shall we say.
No,
and I suppose that was like of the time. A lot of people didn't marry for love, particularly of that sort of upper class and royalty. So it's not that surprising. And I think we've seen that in a couple of the books now where the males don't treat the wives very nicely at all.
No, they really don't. I really don't think, like, I think obviously but it was sad because what I didn't like was the fact that obviously we liked Jane's dad. Like, I loved him. I thought he was a great guy, and
Lynn had suspicions about him.
Oh, see, I liked him. I didn't want him to be naughty. I was like gutted.
I think about halfway through, I started to think,
is he behaving the way he should be?
Not quite right here. But in the beginning, I completely bought in because they gave us a bit of backstory, didn't they, on Jane's mum and dad and how they met and how they'd fallen in love. And
it's pretty sweet, isn't it?
I was on it. I was like, yes, at last. Like,
and they had an extra child, a surprise baby at the end, like just before, you know, the youngest, the daughter of the youngest, and like how she suddenly came about, you know, and it was like, you know, because obviously if you think Jane's youngest sister is the same age as one of her nephews, isn't she? I think that was played in quite well.
Lynn didn't like the family. She thought they were vile. I would agree with that towards the end.
Yeah.
Well, not even towards the end, but once we moved to the point where Edward married.
Yeah.
From that point on, I started to see that they weren't.
Who was your favourite brother, Jem?
Thomas. Was it Thomas?
Yeah, he's the youngest. He's the youngest.
The youngest one, yeah.
Mine's Harry, the middle one. Because the way he didn't have a prominent role to play in the court. So he wasn't. Thomas came to court, and Edward obviously had been the eldest, had the family sort of thing. And Harry went with Jane to see the Edward's naughty wife. Harry seemed to support Jane quite a lot in the background.
He did.
I thought that was quite sweet.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Alice liked the nicer brother.
Yeah,
I think Alice, like me, is forgetting the names, having finished the book a little while ago.
Thomas she seems nice. Thomas is not nice.
Forgot his name. Yeah. Anyone but Edward. Anyone but Edward.
Yeah, Edward is going.
And what did you think about what Edward did to his wife? Obviously, when he found out the sort of what she'd been up to, he shipped her off to a monastery and separated her from her children. I personally thought that was a little harsh.
Yeah.
Because it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you think?
I was torn because the mum in me was like, you asshole, how could you do that to anyone that's like got kids? Like, if anyone tried to take my kids off them, they just wouldn't do it. But in some ways, like, looking back, she still had an affair. She was still stupid and was, you know, could he have done worse? You know what I mean? Could he have done something worse? I don't know. I don't know what he could have done, what other options he would have had, because he couldn't have obviously they couldn't have stayed together.
Yeah.
But it was too harsh to take him away from his kids completely. I don't know how it could have played out though. That's the only other thing. not
I don't
entirely.
know. I think it just irritates me because I think it was accurate for the time, but obviously Jane and Edward's father had almost no repercussions to
Yeah, he
this.
got away
Yeah,
with it, but that was so much of the time, wasn't it? That men
and
got
the
away
mother
with it.
gets shipped off never to see anyone ever again in her life, and it just, I mean, obviously she did see the boys a couple of times, but it shows the sort of unequalness really between men and women, I think. And then obviously later on in the book, Edward remarries.
Yes, and he doesn't really marry someone that we like, someone that I didn't. But then I think she seemed to match him more in personality.
Yeah, I think he was a bad choice. She was a bad choice for him, because their nastiness was like elevated, I think.
Yeah, they both well and truly got what each other does, you know. She certainly didn't calm him down, did she? She certainly set him off a bit. I wondered, I don't even know if they had kids, though. That's what I would love to know, if they actually had kids. I can't remember.
I don't think they did in this book, did they?
Don't know. I think there was one, because wasn't she pregnant at the same time as Jane, either when Jane miscarried or with Jane was
Yes, you're right. Yes, she was.
So I think they at least have one. I'd love to look into that more. But then I don't like Alison Weir's non-fiction books. I've just read one of her non-fiction books.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just read Queens of the Conquest and I didn't like it.
Oh, well.
I don't know. I've got her Six Tudor Queens one that I'm going to read at the end. So Six Tudor Queens, a complete non-fiction book, which I will read once we end the Tudor long and see if I find out anything then.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to read her non-fiction works while I'm reading this.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Much.
I'm kind of having a Tudor. I'm not overdoing on my Tudor fiction while I'm reading these. Yeah, I think Jane's family is certainly quite interesting, but before Henry, yeah.
I mean, so this is all sort of before Henry or a lot of it is sort of before Henry that we're talking about. But I really enjoyed that section of the book, the whole sort of Jane's sort of internal struggle, because obviously she wanted to go into a nunnery when she was a child.
Quite surprising.
No interest really in a relationship, and then you see as she sort of grows into her teenage years and into her early 20s how that sort of changes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm twiddling around. I'm trying to get comfortable. I might actually just do this. But yeah, I think so. Before Henry, she was quite interesting, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was, and obviously she was quite often described in the book as like plain Jane, wasn't she? And not a beauty, and yet I don't know. In my mind, I pictured her as quite beautiful.
Yeah, because she was the one that it was seen, wasn't it, seen as lust, her and Henry. It was love as well as lust, wasn't it? Because he was totally infatuated with her. So if you think that we always imagine that she must have been quite pretty. For the way how he fell for her completely, he was completely a smitten kitten. So obviously that's how I pre-imagined her, that she was very pretty.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the issues I had with the book, the fact that Alison Weir portrayed her as very plain. She didn't really have any interest from any suitors at all throughout the book, and then suddenly Henry was infatuated with her, and it just it didn't quite marry up for me.
No, what I imagined, no.
But Alison, I always really enjoy the pre-Henry sections in these books. I would agree.
Yeah.
In all three of them, the pre-Henry bits have been some of my favourites.
I would definitely say for you guys, I started Anne of Cleves already, and the pre-Henry bits are really good again.
Oh dear, you're two on the ball then.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit I'm trying to get myself organised because December's obviously Christmas month, so I'm trying to get quite a bit of my pre-Christmas books done. You know, I'm trying to get as much of Anne of Cleves read before Christmas. Not even the last minute this year. But yeah, I think pre-Henry he was definitely quite interesting. The monastery bit, the way she actually did stand up to her father as well. If you think she actually did stand up to her brother when she was going off to see her brother's family, and she stood up, and I thought that was showing actually quite a lot of strength from Jane.
Yeah, I think she had a lot of Yeah, I think she had a lot of internal strength, and I think she was very clever, but in a very different way to Anne. So Anne was obviously quite manipulative. I say in inverted commas. She had a vision of where she wanted to be, and she kind of squashed anyone in her path. Whereas Jane also had that vision of where she wanted to be, obviously later on in the book, but she very much wanted allies in that, and she didn't stand on people to get there. She was a lot more measured and considerate, I think, as a character.
Definitely a nicer one, yeah. Definitely one of the nicer queens, I think, in my eyes. She was definitely a very genuine queen.
Yeah, and I wonder if that was one of the things that played into why I liked this more, because she was a more likable character than Anne.
Definitely.
So I do quite often like an unlikable character, but I did feel like we were able to connect more with her. I felt like the decisions she made more sense, possibly, than Anne's decisions.
Definitely. I think she was definitely interesting. The relationship she had with her siblings, like even her sisters, the strength she showed, the fact that she, when like one of her, didn't know her youngest, she was actually the eldest girl, and her younger sister got married before she did, and she found that very unfair. Like she was really sort of like, well, why is no one having me? And then suddenly, you know, Henry took an interest, and that was like she was whisked off to court because they were like, well, you know, let's give our family a better position. And again, the whole family dynamic was, once Henry was interested, that's it, you know, ship you off to court.
And also her relationship with her younger sister, who obviously died of the plague.
Oh, the middle one. It was, she had the younger sister.
Was the middle one, was it?
Yeah, the middle
I thought that was really sad.
Oh, that was heartbreaking, wasn't it? Oh,
it was really sad. I really believed in that relationship, but I was absolutely gutted for her.
Yeah, because she was closer to she had 3 sisters, and the elder one got married before she did and got shipped up and had a kid and yada yada. And then then there was a middle one that died of the plague with 2 other of their brothers, Anthony and someone else. I can't remember the other one's name. But yeah, there was, I think, Anthony died as well. I can't remember exactly. Do I look at the book and find out? But yeah, like I've got the book. Yeah.
And I mean, I think, you know, the plague was huge in this time, and I think that has been well construed in all 3 of the books, actually. This, especially Henry's sort of pathological fear of like sickness and the plague. And
oh god, he was petrified, wasn't he?
He was. And to be fair, you can sort of understand why. I don't think I'd want to be in that era of London with a
you wouldn't, would you?
Pandemic going around. But I wouldn't want to be in this era of London with that going around. But
exactly.
It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking.
I've got it. So got this bit here. We got. So originally, like, they had a brother called John who died. Who died? The first brother, John, who died when he was only like 10 or 11. Then Edward was the next one, the one that we obviously see a lot of prominently. Then there was Henry/Harry, the one that I told you I liked. Then there was Anthony, who died very early on. And then there was a brother called John who. So Anthony and Marge. No, it was Elizabeth. They were the ones, I think, that died. Or was it Marjorie? It was either Marjorie or Elizabeth that died together. Died sort of from the plague at the same time. And then there was another John who came and died. But yeah, I think it was Marjorie, that the next one actually down. Actually, I think there was one that died, but I really can't remember. But yeah, so that was quite interesting. Can't remember. Yeah. And then there was obviously the Dottie, the younger one. So yeah. So that was quite interesting, the fact that the way she was siblings and stuff. So, but yeah, and then we go off to Jane and Henry. Yeah, well done.
Henry. So this was my least favourite part of the book.
Really?
When Jane and Henry got together, I didn't believe in it at all. Well, it felt like instant love. He sort of saw her, and then he was instantly infatuated with her after we've been told for 300 pages that she was played and no one was interested. It just
it didn't match up, did it?
It just didn't. It wasn't believable for me, and this was sort of the point at which it went from a potential 5-star to a 4-star for me. Once they were together, that I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I thought that the way that they interacted was what I would expect. It fit with her personality, and I think we saw a bit of the Henry that we saw with Katherine coming back through.
The earlier days. There was nice that I think, to be honest, Henry with Jane is probably back to being Henry where he was at the start with Katherine, before Katherine started losing all the kids, and before he started
very loving and
very sweet. It was actually really kind. Like he was, yes, he loved her, but he was more gentle with her, and it seemed like a very genuine love, because there is obviously speculation who he loved more. Did he love Katherine more or Jane more? Because we don't know how his love with Jane would have changed had Jane survived.
Yeah.
Because I don't really believe. Obviously, we know with Anne it was pure lust. It wasn't love. It was pure lust. And with the latter queens, I believe it was pretty much trying to get himself another kid.
Yeah.
Pretty much, he was just trying to show his virility.
Yeah.
But I think he seemed to really love Jane in the end. But it did happen a bit too quickly for it to be. But whether that was the way of writing, I don't know.
For a book of its size, I just thought that section, the Henry and Jane falling in love, would have been one of the main plot points that she'd spent time on, but it just felt rushed.
Definitely.
It happened within a chapter, and it was just like, oh, so they're together now.
Very, very quick. But she was definitely pushed to be with him at the start. Like at the start, she was like, because I don't even know how attractive he must have been for him to be attractive by that time. Because wasn't he quite a bit bigger by then, or something, from what I've been led to believe?
Yeah, well, how old was he? Was he about 40 here?
Yeah, bear in mind I'm 43. I don't want to think I've gotten past it. But
no, but you know what I mean. She was, I don't know.
She was quite a lot younger than him. She was definitely quite a lot younger than him. And how much she could have fancied him. Because it was made out that she really did love him as well, wasn't it? It was. Yes, she was forced to sort of get with him at the start, but I think she did actually fall in love with him.
Yeah.
How quickly that happened, I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed to not ring quite true, and I wonder if maybe it was more that Henry had had enough of Anne and was looking for any other woman.
Let's be honest. You are exactly the first
one who was almost
completely the opposite of Anne.
Who was free and sort of gullible enough to just go for it. I don't know.
She was completely the opposite of Anne, wasn't she? Completely.
Oh yeah.
There was no similarities whatsoever.
But I definitely think Henry had already decided he was going to get rid of Anne when he started pursuing Jane. And I think Jane was part of his plan to do that.
He definitely had a lot more in his head than what we were led to believe.
Yeah.
He had preconceptual ideas and stuff.
And I would have liked to see more of that on the page. I know it was from Jane's perspective, but I would have liked a bit more insight into Henry's thought process and why he was doing what he was doing.
It's definitely a rushed relationship, and how obviously maybe at the end we'll go back to Jane and Henry, maybe at the end once we discuss the next two bits. But the chase to them to get together kind of was definitely rushed. But no extent, and she was definitely pushed by Edward more than anyone. I do believe that Edward had a very big part in all of this.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think Edward was more than the father of it. Was the father around then? I can't remember if he died before.
No, the father died right at the end, didn't he?
Yeah. So, but how was Edward still quite manipulative? I believe that Edward took the head of the family because of what happened with Edward, their father.
Yeah.
I think Edward sort of took his place as the head of the family.
Yeah, forced his father into a back seat. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Which is that's quite an intriguing subject for us to discuss, because I don't think I hear that talked about on very many other channels about how Edward was very manipulative.
I think he was, and I think he was also very hurt, as you can imagine.
Oh God, yeah.
He would
your
be.
father betrayed him in the worst possible way. Your father slept with your blooming.
Yeah, and the children that you think are yours might not be yours, and obviously there's no such thing as paternity testing back in those days. So
I do wonder, like, which ones were whose, you know? Because I think the eldest was Edward's, and the youngest was his dad's, in my opinion, the way I'm reading it. But that's just the way I'm reading it.
I don't know.
Because there was no proof.
I don't know. I don't think I pulled out enough nuance to be able to get
very nuance, very. But yeah, so it was quite intriguing. That's why I think Edward took a very big part of that, and then we kind of saw how it was going.
Yeah,
and he had the biggest role in court. When you read this book and you read the latter books, Edward had a prominent role in court throughout Henry's reign because he was Henry's son's uncle.
Yeah,
and he had a very prominent role. And when Henry died, Edward then took the reins as well. Yeah, Edward was like, "That's my nephew. I'm gonna I can use him. I can get him played. I can do what I want." So it was actually, I don't think Edward fell from grace until Mary became queen. From what I've read, that's just from what I've read.
It really was a power play, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah. Edward, I think, from what I've read, Edward fell from grace pretty darn quickly when Mary took charge. Yeah.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack. You're here. Hiya. Yeah. Should we go on to Jane and Catherine?
Yes.
Because that was very interesting.
Yeah, I really liked Jane and Catherine's relationship. Because she was so loyal to her, wasn't she?
Yeah, she really was. Oh, I loved that. I thought it was brilliant.
And we saw it in Catherine's book as well.
Yes, we did, didn't we? We did.
Especially towards the end, where obviously Catherine was being shoved in the most desolate of places. And Jane sort of stayed by her side. She didn't want to go to the court. She didn't want to have anything to do with Henry and Anne. And obviously, then things changed.
Yeah, because Jane's actually been in all three books.
Yes, yeah.
But she was a backward, obviously, but like a really back place. But you saw obviously how she went to court, and Catherine became like a second mum to Jane, from what I was led to believe.
Yeah, it really felt like that. It felt like Catherine was trying to like guide her and support her in her sort of like decisions, and she was obviously devastated when her father made her go to court.
She didn't want to leave her family, did she?
Yeah, and to be fair, as a parent, that is probably what you would do. You would definitely want your child to be involved with the current monarchy rather than
exactly.
Being ousted. But I really liked their relationship. I just think it was interesting, though, that having watched Catherine be denounced and set aside by Henry, obviously towards the end of the book, Jane is doing exactly that with Jane and with Anne, and it does touch on that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then, like you said, the next topic will be Jane and Anne, because she didn't like Anne, and she was loyal to Catherine all the way. I think, in some ways, she got back at Anne because of Catherine.
Yeah, possibly.
I think that was definitely. Actually quite a key role, really.
Yeah. Maybe this is a good time to sort of
move so we'll go
between Catherine and Anne.
Well, they didn't like each other. They hated each other.
The name of the book, or the subtitle of the book, was The Haunted Queen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we see, this is obviously fictional, this section, but we see her almost being haunted by Anne, by what she did to Anne, by the repercussions of her actions later in the book. And I think that is that guilt that she knew she had done wrong, that she had done exactly what Anne had done to Katherine, and then that was her guilt manifesting. That was how I read it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think she felt bad that she did lead to Anne's death. Like, her actions didn't help Anne's case, and that Anne died, and Elizabeth was without a mother because of her actions. And if you see how she actually became like quite a nice stepmother to Elizabeth and Mary, she fought for those kids as well. That's something we could actually discuss. But I know you haven't got a banner for it. We could actually discuss that. But if you think, yes, she hated Anne, and Anne hated her because they were polar opposites. If you think their personalities, they were complete opposites, weren't they?
They were. And Anne didn't see it coming either. She didn't see Jane. Well, I don't think anyone saw Jane coming, did she?
No, no one did. But Anne was a bitch. You know my opinion on Anne. We've had this discussion many a time. Anne was a complete moohead. Like, she properly, it was very obvious when she was trying to trounce Katherine, and she was Anne was actually one of Catherine's maids at a similar sort of time to Jane, and Jane saw them going off, like Henry and Anne doing the deed and being naughty. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
There was obviously that scene where Anne walked in on them and then had a miscarriage shortly after.
Yeah, that was sad. That was actually very sad.
It was sad. And I think that did, within this book, I think it did play on Jane's mind. I think she did feel bad. And I think, like you said, I don't think it even crossed her mind that Henry would have her executed.
No, I don't think she planned that. I don't think she wasn't. I don't see Jane as quite an evil character in the way that Anne was. She certainly wouldn't have wanted, because didn't Anne get other people hanged and head beheaded and stuff? Anne tried to get rid of Katherine, but Jane didn't.
Oh yeah, she tried to. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Lynn has a soft spot for Anne.
Oh well, someone's got to.
I think I can see both sides with Anne. It depends on how she's portrayed, and I think the reality is we'll never really know. We'll never know if she was sort of the manipulative character that most things portray her as, or if she was forced into that by her family and she did the best that she could with what she had.
Her family were buggers, weren't they? They were horrible lots.
Oh yeah.
I didn't particularly like her brother or anything either. What was the brothers in the family? Bloody hell!
Just men, just the men of the time.
I don't know. Don't you have any men online watching this? We might be all right.
As long as they're not Tudor men, it's fine.
Yeah, the Tudor men were definitely the worst. Armin. But yeah, I think there's no way that she wanted Anne to be executed. There was no way she wanted to rid Elizabeth of her mother. No. There was no way she had anything planned. Obviously, she wanted to get herself, she wanted to give herself a position, and she did. I think when she fell for Henry, she wanted to get rid of Anne because she'd fallen for her. She wanted the man she loved, and that you can sort of see. But she definitely didn't want it to go the way it went, and she did feel guilty for that.
Yeah, I think this is just coming to me as we talk, but I think I would have preferred it if Alison Weir had scoped it as she wanted revenge for Katherine, and we saw a little bit of that. But I think that was probably more likely because, as you said before, Henry was probably not at the pinnacle of attractiveness at that point.
No.
So I don't think it would have been a sort of hook, line, and sinker situation.
No. I think she wanted to get revenge for Katherine in her own way because she was loyal to Katherine.
She was horribly portrayed in the audio version of this book. Anne, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have the audio book, so I didn't have that.
And I don't know, I think I can see what Alison Weir is trying to do. She's moving from these different perspectives of the characters, and I think in this, Jane would have had quite a negative opinion of Anne, and I think that's fine. Yeah. I think I struggle with the Anne book, is what I struggle with, because I don't feel like we really got what I wanted from that book. It just... Yeah. I wanted more of Anne, and I just felt like I got the sort of the carbon copy. We're talking about the wrong book. I
But do you want to talk? I know we haven't written a note to talk about this, but do you want to talk about the relationship Jane had with Henry's children?
Yeah.
Because I think that's quite an interesting portrayal. You see that once she actually gets with Henry, before she actually had him, because obviously we know as soon as she had Edward, she died. But she did a lot of repair work that Anne had caused. So she really repaired. Oh, you've done that very quickly. Well done. Mary, yes, she had. She'd done a lot of repair work with Mary. And she got Mary back in favour by quite a way. And repaired a lot of the damage that Anne had done.
And it wasn't an easy job either, because Mary was stubborn.
Mary was really a fiery character, wasn't she?
Yeah, she weren't having none of it, was she? She wasn't going to compromise her morals for her...
all her beliefs. God, she was very with her beliefs.
Not for anything. Oh, Ange is here.
Hi, Ange. Hiya. So this is actually stuff that Ange can probably be safely. We cannot going to give spoilers when we say about this, about the fact that Jane definitely protected Mary and fought for Mary to get back in favour. And Mary was, don't forget, Mary was Henry's only child for quite a long time,
and the rightful heir to the throne for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So
apologies if you can hear Charlie. Can you hear that?
Yeah. I'm clear. Mine are in the background as well. Mine are making noises out there.
Dear me.
Joy's fact we're both mums. There's nothing we can do.
They are fine. They're laughing, but
yeah, exactly. I've got the same out there. But I think Mary's point of view was the fact that she got ousted very quickly because of Anne, and Mary got pushed away from her dad, and she had her father to herself, and she was very much the apple of his eye for a very long time. Until Anne came on the scene. And then as soon as Elizabeth, she was made to be Elizabeth's maid, wasn't she, pretty much? So Jane's work was to get them both still in their father's eye.
Yeah. I think she saw the value of a daughter.
Yeah.
She that was her role. She always felt like a key part in her family. And yes, her father did things that he shouldn't have done, but I think he always showed love to his daughters.
Definitely.
I think she wanted that for them, and she wanted that for Henry as well.
And I think she worked on Mary and Elizabeth's relationship as well. She worked on getting them close together, and they were in the latter days. In all the other books, they became a very close unit. Mary really fought for Elizabeth and looked after Elizabeth because of what Jane had started.
Yeah,
I think that was quite important and quite sweet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that develop over the next few books.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's definitely an interesting relationship.
That was down to Jane starting that.
Yeah,
Jane starting to get Henry to see his daughters again, which was quite sweet.
Indeed. So, are there any other aspects of the book you wanted to chat about, Nate?
I can't think. I like Jane. Gutted she died.
So yeah, the
scenes at the end, the
scenes at the end where I did shed a little tear. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my god, bloody hell, that must be bad.
I know.
Sorry, guys, we are genuinely friends.
Just a little one. Don't tell anyone.
I don't want to actually believe she cried.
But yeah, I thought it was really well done, like that end section, and the birth of Edward and Henry's reaction.
Henry was so happy he had a son. It was so
sad. And then obviously it went to hell in a handcart for him, bless him. So I did think that was well done, and I didn't realise that Jane had miscarriages before.
That is speculative, though.
Is it?
Yes, I think one's pretty much definite, but as to where there was others was more speculation rather than.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me given what the previous two queens went through.
Yeah.
And it was pretty common.
Edward was his last child.
He was, yeah.
I don't think any of the other wives got pregnant. I don't think.
No.
There was speculation with.
He had syphilis, didn't he, Henry?
Yeah.
So I think that makes you infertile, doesn't it?
Probably. So he probably couldn't have had children, but he didn't know that back then.
No.
He still tried to be the stud, and
Yeah, and I think there must have been something genetic going on, even before that, for Katherine to have had as many miscarriages as she had.
Wasn't there speculation that there was some? There is speculation. If we read a Philippa Gregory book, The Lady of the Rivers,
I have read that.
Yeah, and there wasn't there speculation that was it Henry's mother or Henry's grandmother that put a curse on the family?
Oh yeah, that they were cursed. I'm not sure I believe that is real, but yeah, that was.
But
that
there
he would
could
have
have
no
been
male
some sort of
heirs.
genetic disposition,
And he never did he? Because even Elizabeth never had a son.
No.
Alice shed a tear for
bloody hell!
David
God, that must
too.
have been bad as well. Alice doesn't do it.
Yeah, I know. All the cynics are crying. All the cynics.
Oh my goodness! I'm glad I wasn't there. But whereas I'm the biggest wimp who does cry very easily, so you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely. I think there was speculation that there was some sort of genetic abnormality that caused all these miscarriages because none of his kids had. But actually, if you think about it, though, if you think Mary had children, both his sisters actually had children.
Yeah, so maybe it was something down the male line.
Yeah, because Margaret had James and was it Margot or Mini Margaret, who was actually Margaret someone else, but it was actually part of the court. His niece, one of his youngest niece, became part of the court. So, and then obviously his sister's Margaret's son started the Stuart line that then took over when Elizabeth died.
Yeah,
the Stuart line
Alice
then
took over. She does cry a lot at books.
Yeah, you do actually. You cry a lot. Really?
Alice the closet marshmallow.
Just a softie, really. But I think because if you like we say, we know that the Tudor line, the Stuart line, was because of his sister Margaret, and then obviously Lady Jane Grey was because Lady Jane Grey, who was the extra, the very short queen.
Yeah.
Edward's cousin, so to speak, was part of his sister Mary's line.
I actually saw a book the other day recommended on Lady Jane Grey, like a non-fiction book.
I've read quite a few books on her, actually. It's quite fascinating.
I can't remember what it was called now. I'll have to see if I can find it. But yeah, I don't know anything about her, so I think that'd be really...
You need to read some books. Yeah, she's quite fascinating because, again, she was another one that kind of went to court and was the shortest living queen, wasn't she?
Yeah. She didn't do very well, really, did she? Bless her.
No. Wasn't she the one at the start of the three sisters who are part of the Philippa Gregory book? The three sisters?
No, Three Sisters, Three Queens is about Henry's... It is about Katherine and Henry's sisters, I think. So Mary, Queen of Scots, and the one that married the Duke of Suffolk.
Oh, that's quite interesting. I did like that book. I haven't read that for ages, though.
Yeah, I liked that one. But yeah, no, it was about those ones.
Yeah, I definitely like Alison Weir's Tudor fiction, but I'm not a massive fan of her fiction. Whereas Philippa Gregory's fiction's very good.
Oh, I really love Philippa Gregory. I definitely prefer her to Alison Weir. Alice, I've been known to cry at adverts even. The John Lewis ones. You know, the John Lewis one with like the spaceman.
God, yeah. I'm waiting for the Christmas adverts. I'm waiting. The thing is, I don't really watch adverts anymore because I watch them in Netflix all the time, so I don't really get to see that.
Yeah, this is true. But I also can't watch Children in Need anymore because
I can't. No, none of the parents. No.
Yeah.
But do you think though, us being mums has an effect on the way we're reading the books as well though? Because of certain bits where they've been treated their kids and stuff.
Yeah, I think it affects everything that I read, to be honest. If there's a child in it, or a child that dies, or a mother that loses a child, I think I think it gets everyone, but you kind of like imagine like if that was you and it just
oh god. We'll all have to search for a book on Lady Jane Grey for you, Alice. We'll have to search for a book on her.
Yeah, I need to find what that was called. I thought I'd saved it. It was on Nicole's channel, Alice, and I can't remember what her name is. What her channel name is.
So Mia just tried walking.
Oh, Alison, always the John Lewis ones.
They're blooming dangerous. They are dangerous.
My fave, what was The Bear and the Horse or whatever it was. I can't remember that one, Alice. I'm not gonna lie. I can't remember it.
Yeah, you'd like to try
Gregory. You will definitely.
Which one? Yeah, we'll have to try. Maybe that might be something for me to look for a certain other person's Christmas present. Hey, Alice. But yeah, I think Alison Weir's books are interesting. Certainly the latter books. I think those of you that liked Jane Seymour will definitely like continuing with the other books. Alice, you have to start Anne of Cleves. You will like her. I know Gem's gonna. I know you're gonna, Gem, but I definitely think Alice will. I think Jack, if Jack's still around, she said that she's actually going to return for another book. I think Catherine Howard, I think she said she was going to return to, I suppose, because Jack's not read the others, but Jack said I think it was Catherine Howard or Catherine Parr she was going to return to.
Yeah, I don't think you need to read them in order at all.
No, you don't.
I haven't read any of the Philippa Gregory ones in order. I've jumped about. And actually, I think I get more enjoyment out of it because then I'm not following the same events book after book. No more books, you're already sending me to. Screw the giant TBR.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you've got to try Philippa Gregory.
Yes, she does. See, everyone agrees, Alice.
You're going to start read Anna, please. Oh, you're going to like it, Alice.
And yeah, Jack is coming back.
I remember
back
right.
for Howard in the new year.
Yes. Oh,
I think that one will be really good. Actually,
this is going to be interesting when we're going to do our Christmas live for when we're going to do our live for Anna Cleves, because obviously Christmas is at the end, so we'll have to do it maybe the first weekend or something after a weekend after New Year. So yeah, we'll do it the week after New Year, so we do it the second weekend in January, because New Year's Day is on the 1st, is on the Sunday the 1st, so we'll do the Saturday after that.
Yeah,
which will probably be the 6th, I think. That'll probably be when we'll have to do it, because everyone's going to obviously be busy with Christmas and New Year and stuff.
You're too organised for me, Ems. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow yet.
Babe, someone's got to be organised, because you've got a busy month in December. You've got your birthday, so.
I know, I have. I'm going to be 21 again. Alice, I'll try and get her from the library.
Yeah, they are. Most libraries do have them. You're catching up.
I'm just finally catching up. And finished book 2.
Jane Seymour is shorter. Jane Seymour is only how many pages? Physical pages is like just over 500 pages.
Only.
So it's not that bad.
You flew through it.
You flew through it quite quickly, though, didn't you, Jen?
I did get through it quite quickly, actually.
For you. This is quite good.
It was on audio, though, and I had quite some long drives.
You can probably listen to it quite quickly, and on audio. And the is the audiobook good?
Yeah, the audiobook's much better for Jane than it was for Dewberry What's It.
So
all of these books are too many pages. Agree.
Then you're going to hate the latter ones, because Catherine Parr's the longest.
Is it really?
I think Catherine Parr's pretty long. I've got an art copy for that, so
2.3, Andrew. I still don't understand how you can do that.
My mates, oh my god, you guys, you can laugh at me. Obviously, I listen to booktube videos on my lunch break at work, and people have been coming into the staff room where I sit and eat my lunch, and I'm watching everyone's videos on like 1.5 speed. And my boss went, how the hell do you listen to it on that speed?
Oh, I do listen to booktube on 1.5, but I can't listen to audiobooks that fast.
No, I listen to audiobooks on 1.25.
Lynn agrees. Yeah, these books are too long. I think they
are
could
long.
do a solid edit. I think.
Oh.
Bye, Jack.
Bye, Jack. See you soon. Speak to our group. How long have you got, Jem?
I mean, I could probably do with, because I fear that things are being destroyed downstairs. So.
We'll have to go soon, I think.
Yeah, so I think that was...
Actually, it's pretty much wrapping up. Yeah, there isn't much more to say. Is everyone happy? Is there anything anyone else wants to say?
I feel like Where feels she has to include everything she knows. Yeah, and I suspect the author much more who shows us some of what they know, but it's more concise. Yes, I would agree. It's a bit info dumpy.
Yeah,
it is a bit info dumpy, and I think it would be less of a problem if she wasn't dumping the same info into every book.
Yeah.
You only need to tell us that, you know, some of the more pertinent points I can understand repeating them, but you know, there's a lot of repetition in these books.
We'll have to wait and see what everyone thinks of the next one, won't we?
Indeed.
We've got our group chat still on Boxer, and I'm still sorry for the Boxer message I left out the audio one ages the other week when I was on half time.
Oh, the tutor log, yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm safer now, guys. Don't worry, I won't be leaving in like messages. We have our other groups now off of Boxer, thank God. But yeah, I think we're very discussion. Thanks, everyone.
Lovely to have you all. And yeah, we will see you at the beginning of January with the next one over on Emily's channel.
Yes, the next one's on mine. So we'll see you all soon. You're going to end the live, aren't you? And then we'll.
I will, yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye, bye.